What is up, ladies and gentlemen? You're watching another Madman film review right here on the Madman Sports Network. I'm Brian Sullivan. Let's jump right into it. We're talking Vita Vea, the huge defensive interior lineman for Washington University. 6'4", 344. This is a big man. We're going to see how his combination of just pure physical traits, impressive instincts, and how those two combine, his mental abilities and his physical abilities, combine to make him a phenomenal run stuffer and a deceptively good pass rusher for somebody who lacks speed and acceleration. So let's get right to it. Let's just first talk about his brute strength. And here's a few examples right here. Look at this first example right here. So follow snap, there he is right there. You see him get that jump. Here he does. He's engaging with the lineman right here, this offensive lineman. Notice now, it kind of looks like the running back has a little hole. V is pretty engaged, honestly. But notice his timing right here. V manages to push the lineman back into that running back. And it's just that really nice little timing right there where he sees him, notices him bursting to the hole, and that's when he kind of makes his extra push. And even though he doesn't get his hands on the running back, he manages to slow him down and cause a run stop along with some other linemen, but he played a key role. So here he is right here, V. Let's take a look at this one. Kind of gets around, and look at the way he just drives this lineman back. Even though he's getting engaged with the second lineman, it's almost like once he's engaged with his first one, this second lineman can't even do anything about it. Drives him right into McSorley. Now McSorley does complete the pass. That's besides the point. That's not what this is about. This is about V's pure physical strength. The way he's just driving that lineman back with ease, even though he doesn't even have great leverage, he's getting double teamed. That doesn't matter. And if you saw how many times and how many I left out, just double teams he commands on a regular basis, you'd understand why he's going to go in the first round. So here's the next one here. Here's another one. This is very impressive. So here he is already getting double teamed, and you see number 92 here. Keep an eye on him because number 75, who was initially responsible, ends up leaving him. That's how much V was abusing them early in this game. And they end up triple teaming V, which leaves 92 right here with his one-on-one situation with the running back. He gets by very easily, manages to force a quick pass that ended up being incomplete, forces into coverage. Yes, number 92 would get the pressure there, but you see this. Look at all the attention that Vita Vea is commanding. It's because of Vita Vea's physical presence that 92 was able to get that one-on-one matchup that he wanted. So that's what I love about, analyzing and looking at defensive linemen, is that unlike receivers and running backs where you only look at big plays and, production like that, you can see how much V impacts the game even when he's not going to get any stat for that. No stat whatsoever. You're not going to see that on the stat sheet, but that was pretty much a result of him. That's why 92 was able to get that matchup. Really impressive stuff. So let's get to the next one, and I did start this one a little late. I still have to work on this a little bit. But notice already how V, look how off he is right now. So it looks like this lineman got really good leverage on him. And one thing V does need to work on, we'll talk about it at the end, we'll talk about some of his weaknesses, is sometimes he does just kind of bull right in, kind of almost with his shoulder instead of really utilizing his hands more, but that's besides the point. Once he gets to the NFL, he gets to the pros, the right coaching staff will find a way to get him to hone those technical talents. But look at this. Even though he's off balance, he manages to get back up. Look at how his hand is already up, and we'll talk about that more when we get to his instinct. He already notices that McSorley has his target. He has his hands up, and with one arm, kind of off balance, manages to at least get a hand up and try to tip that ball. Ball would end up being completed for a touchdown, but again, that's besides the point. That's not what this is about. It's about the fact that off balance, he was able to keep his eye on the quarterback, maintain his concentration, retain his balance, just to even attempt to make a play. That's a really impressive play, despite the fact that they gave up a touchdown there. Now here's another one right here, and this is kind of like the first one. You see right here how he just pushes him back, and notice right there, all it took was one of his shoulders. He's engaged with the lineman, and he manages to time just perfectly, just disengage enough just to bash his shoulder into Bryce Love, the running back there. And that's enough for Bryce to say, no thank you, run to the outside. Now, good job of Bryce Love to get away from that. But just notice that, again, V doesn't even need to use his whole body, doesn't really get to extend his arm. Other times he does, but still, just from his pure strength, manages to disengage from his lineman and just completely shut that gap with a quarter of his body. That's very impressive, and Love would end up gaining about a yard or two. Now here's this last one. I'm going to be quite honest before you see it. I don't know if this is legal. I don't know why he didn't get flagged for this, or if he could, but regardless, it shows how strong he is. Just watch this. Just bam. He just knocks that lineman over, basically punches him. Again, I don't know how legal or illegal that was, if it's a cheap shot. No flag was thrown, so I'm not entirely sure. But either way, that shows he was able to just topple over a Stanford offensive lineman, so not just any guy, just with one arm. Regardless of the legality of that, the cheapness of that, that shows some ridiculous levels of strength right there. So there's just the strength aspect. Already you can see he's a pure physical beast. Now, one thing I really look for when I'm looking at defensive players specifically is their ability to process what's going on the field as, every half second goes by. Just their ability to understand, because especially in college, we have so many option plays, quarterbacks rolling out, quarterbacks running. The players that are able to understand where the ball is at all times and find a way to make a play on it. And V is very good at that, very good at disengaging at the right time to make a stop. So here's a few examples right here, and also just shows that he always keeps his eye on the quarterback. So here's one, there he is right there, he's engaged, and here's McSorley. Now notice McSorley has started to make his break. And right there, right when he gets into this little hole, he has a wide open hole, and V is all the way over there. It looks like he might be able to burst through that hole. He disengages at the perfect time, so does 17, and they both just swallow him up, and it turns out only being a couple yards. But notice that, right over here, even though McSorley's kind of hiding behind this lineman as well, and V is in the middle of being blocked, he manages to just get away, uses his hands very nicely to just get away from that lineman, and manages to change his angle very quickly as well to make that tackle. So now here's a few examples of just his ability again to maybe make a play. Those players that can make those tip passes, we saw it already once. Notice here he's getting double teamed, and right as McSorley, the ball leaves his hand, V's hand goes up. That's just something you really want to look for with defensive linemen, because if they're able to just process all that information, again, notice nothing happens here. He doesn't make any play, but every now and then that's going to get tipped. Not every single one, but at least he managed to get his hand up and try to make a play, even though he was basically taken out of the play by the double team there. And here's another example of that. Here he is again. He's getting pushed, and he sees the ball is about to leave. He throws his hand up, at least attempts. He knows he's not going to get him for the pass, so instead of, going in to try and make a hit, try and lay him out, possibly get flagged, he puts his hand up instead and at least attempts to bat it down. That ends up being a huge gain, but again, that's not really V's fault. That was some bad coverage. Now here's another one right here. Now look, watch as Barkley. You watch as Barkley, and here's V right here getting engaged. Looks like he's getting pushed back a little bit. You see Barkley kind of exploding for the outside, and you realize V notices that. He manages again to kind of keep his head away. Notice he's just kind of looking at this lineman still. This lineman doesn't really know what's going on as much, but manages to disengage at just the right time to get an angle, gets his hands on him. Now this is Barkley we're talking about. Of course Barkley is going to make a play or two, but the fact that he even got him away, got him off balance, is why later these other defenders are able to come up and cause this to only be a 1-yard gain. With a lot of running backs, that would have been, V would have either gotten them or one of these other defenders would have gotten them. It just happens to be that we have the best running back in the nation right here that ended up going up against V. But again, just notice the way he disengages right away and manages to make at least a play on it. He was kind of the original reason that play ended up being a loss. Obviously, his teammates came in and helped afterwards. So just really good at understanding where the ball carrier is going to be, when they're there, when he should make his move. And also just really good at getting, quickly changing the direction of his body, kind of quickly shifting, as opposed to making it more known what he's about to do. I'm really impressed by his abilities there. So now that I've kind of shown and proven to you that he's both smart and incredibly strong, let's just see how that all comes together and how that leads to him being just a phenomenal run stuffer when it comes to being an interior lineman. It's so tough to run in whatever gap he's responsible for. So here's the first one right here. There he is right there. Ball is snapped. You see him right here. Now notice he's kind of getting handled. He's there. He's around right there. But there is this little divot right here where Barkley's running into. Somehow now V is over here. He managed to find that little spot and gets his arm on Barkley and manages to bring him down. Now, I don't know how he found that. I don't know how he slipped through there. But somehow the man who at one point was being pretty much walled off by 2 Penn State linemen manages to get through and get his arm around him. I would have loved to see a different angle of that play. Unfortunately, they didn't. Regardless of how he did it, it was very impressive. Now here's another one. Sometimes I swear it almost feels like he's engaging with these linemen and toying with them just so he can make his move at the right time. So here he is right here. You see him getting engaged with this lineman. Second lineman's pretty close by too, but now because it looks like he's handled, he's going for somebody else. Right as the running back comes, he tosses him aside and manages to make the play. So watch again right there. Boom, throws him down, and now he's about to get his angle right here, and then he goes in, closes out, and brings him down. So again, just the way he perfectly times his disengagement, and sometimes even just tosses linemen aside, is ridiculous. Here's another one right here, you'll see. Ball is snapped. And again, just the way that he gets around this lineman. Looks like the lineman even has some pretty decent leverage, but he gets right around, right when Barkley's about to explode to the hole, walls him off, and lets the other defenders come in and finish the job off. It's just really those subtle movements and the perfectly timed shifting of his body. I'm so impressed with the way that he just times it all perfectly. It's really just, again, continues to prove his instincts. Now here's one that impressed me more than a lot of the other ones. So there's number 64. He gets kind of like the down low chop blocked, although I know it's not like the illegal chop block because he wasn't already engaged. But he manages to use his hands and get back up on his feet, and then he gets up there and gets in on the tackle. Now 99 made the play there. As you can see, 99 was the one who got his arms on him. But without V, Bryce Love might have been able to escape from that. V comes in, instead of just lying on the ground and giving up, look at that effort. He gets back up, and that's a 350-pound man nearly. To have that just balance and ability to use his arms to get himself back up, maintain his balance, and come in on the tackle, that's the opposite of Albert Haynesworth, when Albert Haynesworth got his money. So it's ridiculous there. Here's another one. Notice it's a read option. There's Vita Vea right there getting engaged. Notice the second he sees McSorley running towards him with the ball, that's when he tosses number 77 aside, and as you can already tell, this will not end well for McSorley. He gets right in there and brings him down. Just really perfectly timed, lets the lineman kind of come in, and then gets away from him and throws him down. So here's another one right here. Notice he's double teamed, and just watch this. Love is coming, 2 linemen near him, although this lineman's responsible for him, and V just manages still to maintain his engagement with his one lineman while reaching out with those long, strong arms and just wraps him up one-armed and brings him down. Unless you have a Leonard Fournette or somebody like that, one of those big, strong running backs, this guy will be able to bring them down with one arm, especially those smaller guys. You're trying to run a little trickery play with a guy like Tariq Cohen or Darren Sproles or somebody like that. Yeah, in the open field, he's going to make V miss, but with a hole like that, V will be able to disengage and just bring him down. Now this last one right here, again, look at him, he's engaged, but notice he keeps his eye on the running back, manages to just shift around, gets to the gap, knows exactly where he's going, gets his hands on him. They might have called a face mask there, I honestly forget, but either way, the fact that he managed to get there, pretty much clog up that gap, force Barkley to turn back to the other side, and he ends up getting brought down for a very minimal gain. Whoever brings him in is immediately getting just a phenomenal run stuffer. Think Linval Johnson, think Sean Rogers back in the day, think guys like that, just guys that can come in. Damon Harrison, it's just you can plug them in the middle, and they won't necessarily have all the tackles, but they'll command so much attention, they'll open things up for all your speedy pass rushers, your defensive ends, things of that nature. Now, Vita Vea is never going to be, at least I don't think, somebody like an Aaron Donald or even a Calais Campbell, somebody who gets you 10, 12 sacks a season. He just doesn't have the speed or the burst to do that, unfortunately. Now, who knows, maybe he'll somehow, some way get trained properly to do so, but I don't see it. That being said, he is a deceptively good pass rusher again. So watch right here, notice this first one. Here he is double team. Watch the way he just kind of slips right through there and manages to get some pressure. Now, he doesn't quite get the right angle, but he does force a quick throw into coverage. Again, it's not perfect, but the way he splits the double team, the way he found that gap and managed to get right through, use his hand to kind of swipe number 52 away. 52 also looks like he's kind of responsible for 70. This defender right here, 17. But that's just very nice, the way he slips right through and manages to go for the quarterback. Here's another one right here. Notice, look, he kind of fakes to the right. It looks like this is going to be who he's assigned against. He ends up getting kind of blocked here by number 72 as well. And then watch the way he just shifts his way over through that open gap right there. He just kind of seemed to notice the one-on-one matchups that were going to be left over here. He noticed he was getting attacked, and he manages to just slip right through, get off, and forces another pass along with everybody else. But the way he kind of looks like he's attacking this lineman, gets attacked by this one, and still just shifts his body and gets through was very impressive. So here's another one right here, and again, just watch, slips right past these defenders like it's nothing. Just uses a quick little hand move and pushes them aside. He's really good at that. I know I said his hand technique needs some work, and it really does consistently, but there are times like that where you'll just see him use that quick hand swipe. Now, again, ball is complete. You've probably seen that already on my Barkley video, but he forced McSorley out of the pocket right there. He does need to work on finishing, and again, that's where I don't know if he'll really be able to, but that doesn't mean he won't be able to disrupt the pocket. Now, this last one I like as well. Watch him. He goes right in. He's getting engaged. Number 3 is about to make his throw. He sees his target. Look at this spin move. He spins. He tries to get his hand up. Tries to at least, again, bat it down. What a deceptively nimble move right there. And he managed to stay on his feet, too, and the lineman's the one who ends up on the ground. Again, didn't lead to a sack, didn't lead to a, batted pass. It did lead, though, to a throw in coverage. I forget if it was caught or not, but just look at that right there. Just that quick spin move. I'm very impressed. A man of that size should not be able to make a spin move like that on the spot. But yet Vita Vea somehow managed to pull that off. Just incredibly skilled overall and surprisingly balanced for somebody of his stature. So thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. As I've said already, I have a first-round grade on Vita Vea. I think he does have a few weaknesses, but 2 of the 3 are as to be expected. 1, I did notice as games went on, he did sometimes tend to get a little more fatigued. Duh. Again, he's 340 pounds, and I do believe that with NFL conditioning, that will be less of a problem, especially if he ends up in a system where early on he can be more of a rotational player on first and second down. Second, like I said about, difference between him and Aaron Donald, he'll never be, a guy who can be a dominant, efficient, consistent pass rusher. He's just too big, and that's not really his role. So he's not super fast. He's not super quick. Sometimes his jump isn't perfect. But you know what? He's got great, he's a great raw piece that can be built. He has great instincts, and he'll be a great run stuffer wherever he ends up, barring any sorts of injuries. So, again, I have a first-round grade on him. I think he's going to be fantastic. Thanks for watching, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at BSUL21. Follow us on Twitter at TheMadmanSports. And make sure you hit that big red subscribe button.